Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It's me and Bobby in the morning. Again, we did it again. We're both awake. I'm always awake
Oh
at this time.
no,
Don't
not
ask me how.
again, Pat Oates. We shit on
Oh,
these
no.
fuckers 2 times?
Are we yelling at people?
Oh, for show. I was doing
We
the bitch
start in the
please
morning
thing.
just by yelling at folks. It's good. How are you? What's going on, sir?
I'm good. I was listening to Louis C.K.'s Unmasked from 2008 last night, and that's always a fun one. He,
Yeah. What I like is Louis shows up in my TikTok all the time. So it's always different clips from different times, but it's just like
hell yeah.
it you know how people get mad that when you're talking and your phone hears what you say and shows you something? I like that my phone hears me and goes, "Here's a Louis bit that goes along with the thing you were mad about." It always usually fits in pretty well.
And in your phone's defense, you live a Louis type life, pretty much. Where you are a comedian, but you're active that throughout the day. Like, you aren't one of the guys who just smokes pot and sits at home watching TV. Like, you live a very Louis-styled life, so it fits you well.
I
I
have
kind of
not
fell
jerked
in.
off at anybody though yet.
Okay, but how long did you wait after 9/11?
Oh, I jerked off at 9/11, just not at
In between the
people.
towers.
Yes. It
That
was
was
the
Louis'
third
joke.
shot that no one heard. It was like
Yeah, exactly. That's why Building
it's
7
beautiful.
fell, was your jizz.
I felt like if I did that, the stem cell research would bring back those people. It did not work, but I tried my best.
And ever since that day, you've been leading the pro-life movement.
Yes, yes, I
But,
have. I've always, you know what? I've always been pro my life the entire time.
You know, me too.
Hashtag
Pro Pat's
too.
life. Pro Pat's life.
I'm pro
Uh,
your life. Aw, pro life. It's nice.
But in his thing, it's right after he got fired from Lucky Louie. Like, they got rid
Yeah.
of the show on HBO, and it's weird. Like, Bennington tried to cancel the interview because he was like, dude, I get it. Like, you got to be good. And Louie was like, no, let's do it. And he's just very calm. Like, you could tell he doesn't know what he's going to do next, but he knows everything's going to be fine. It's a fun episode to listen to if anybody's interested. How about you? What have you been up to?
Not much. I'm going in Connecticut. You know how it's getting to March Madness time of year. There's a big basketball game. It's not UConn in Connecticut this year. Quinnipiac playing Fairfield, and they're both top of their division. And because the game is so important now, they have moved it to ESPNU. It'll be on TV tonight, and it's going to be like 15 minutes from where I am. So the radio station got me tickets, so I'll be able to go with all these college kids fired. And I haven't been to a college game like that, a small schools where they're fired up before at the end of the year. So I'm excited about going to see that. And if you're watching the game on ESPNU, I'll be under one of the baskets off to like the left when you're looking, so you should be able to see me.
Hell yeah. I'm glad I waited to talk shit till I heard you were excited to go to the game.
Why were you gonna talk shit?
Because the big game in Connecticut's Quinnipiac versus Fairfield.
No, we have UConn. We're the number one team in
That's
the
what I was going to
country.
say. Like, how UConn basketball has fallen then. And that nobody
No,
cares
but
about that.
Quinnipiac actually Division One wise has been like real. They won they won hockey last year. They've got a whole new arena. They're building up their program real good too. And the basketball men's and women's has been good in making to tournament and stuff. But this is the first time where these two teams actually are very strong. And I like the fact that Connecticut's getting behind other stuff too. We tend to, when the women aren't first, people in their third, people are like, they suck this year. I'm not watching, and it's ridiculous. You know, it's like how we have a dynasty. Gino Auriemma has got more wins than freaking everybody.
Yeah,
It's like,
dude. What do you think they've
it's
swept under
insane.
Gino's rug?
Yeah, I mean
I'm
the
just
guy
saying,
the
that
guy's
dude at
amazing. What
Michigan
they've done
State, they had
there.
all the yeah. You get my point.
Yeah,
He's
they're
probably
an
a
incredible
pedophile.
franchise. We are talking over each other. Anyways, it's like our pausing is fun. But did you have a first story you wanted to get into?
Yeah, let's come out the gate strong with some politics.
Right.
And this news story asks the age-old question: is the Amish farmer a Republican hero, a biological terrorist, or a flashpoint in the culture war?
It's something I think about every morning when I wake up.
Me too, especially as Amos Miller, who's an Amish farmer in Pennsylvania, has become a flashpoint in America's culture wars. Well, I guess we have our answer then, don't we? Conservatives have been building support for Miller ahead of his February 29th hearing in a lawsuit brought by the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office. A rally for the farmer has been planned outside the courthouse next week, and Give Send Go fundraiser for the Amos Miller organic farm has raked in over $200,000. Miller has repeatedly refused to comply with food safety regulations, and last month, state troopers seized Miller's edible products as part of a search warrant that was obtained after the state Agriculture Department was notified the products had been linked to E. coli. A couple weeks later, the state of Pennsylvania announced it was suing Miller to stop him from selling raw milk and other unregulated products, saying that his violation of food safety laws endangers public health. Miller has argued that he does not sell his products to the public, only to his farm's private membership association, and that exempts him from having to comply with government regulations. Who is the piece of shit in this story?
You gonna give me some options?
Oh, of course. That's how this game works.
Right.
Is it the Amish farmer who refuses to comply with food regulations is responsible for E. coli breakouts in 2 different states and says that he doesn't have to follow the government's rules? Is it the government of Pennsylvania? He's an Amish dude. How many people could he possibly be poisoning? You know how hard it is to transport goods via horseback? Is it the Republicans who saw a dude who was like, fuck the government, and they were like, we're in, he's our guy, without any more information? Or is it the liberals who were like, no, he's bad, just because the government hates him? Or is it me for being the only person in America who would open a news show with an Amish story? Pat, we'll kick it to you first.
It's definitely not the Amish guy. They've lived their lives bringing out, produce and product and things of that nature with the thought of this could kill us, but if it does, then we have something to do on Sunday. We have a funeral now, so we can all go to
God's
that.
fault.
Yeah, it's always God. Someone did something wrong, or God thought we need to thin the herd, or God felt like we needed to do this. It's fine. It's not any politician. It's not right or left. Listen, especially in Pennsylvania, where Amish people can't do a lot of things, so somehow they can get into politics. It's not their fault they were voted in. It's kind of Pennsylvania's fault for electing them in any way. It is you. This is a story that what I do like is that most morning shows aren't doing it, so we're different. But this might be something where people are like, you lost me at the word toxic or flashpoint. Like most people that watch our show are probably like, I don't even know what's going on with that. It is you. I appreciate the story. It's nice that we're kicking on something different. But in a show where I'm trying to do like hashtags and stuff like that, it's going to be very hard to do hashtag Amish, hashtag pasteurized milk, hashtag E. coli.
Well, here's where you're wrong, Pat. Couldn't think of anything. All right.
Good morning, Johnny Benson. How are you?
What up, Johnny Benson? Very funny comment. So I think you're right that it is me a little bit, but I think there is a bigger piece of shit in this story, which is actually kind of why I brought it to the table. And that piece of shit isn't one of the options I gave you, because I forgot. But for me, it's Raymond, the Amish comic. Okay? You have a whole thing your whole shtick is being the Amish guy who's angry and screams curse words. And not once has Raymond showed up to help Amos Miller. Now, either Raymond's not one of the Amish who cares about his Amish brethren, or he doesn't understand a media opportunity when he sees one. But I know, I've heard about his ticket sales. That man could use the bump. Go get in the news, Raymond. Now's your time to shine.
I don't think that would draw me in. Anyway, I'd be like, oh, good, Amish comedy. I hope he talks about the issues.
Okay, fair point, but I would say, real quick, and welcome aboard, but you've seen the video where the woman is doing an interview, and an old man walks up to the camera and grabs the mic and says, what, Pat? Fuck her right in the pussy. Juan's in. He knows. Now, tell me, at the Amish protest, there's your morning news. Raymond the Amish comic walks by, grabs the microphone, yells, fuck her right in the pussy, and see me at the Harrisburg Comedy Zone this Friday at 8 p.m. You're not considering going to see him at 8 p.m.
By the way, you are the piece of shit in the story, but it just changed. Not because of the story, it's because you just called our guest, comedian Luis Santos, Juan. So that's the most fucked up thing.
Okay.
I think you heard something out of context there, Pat.
You said Juan gets it, and then as he waved his hand and called him Juan.
No, I don't know if that's what happened. That seems
we will have a clip of that
something
later.
I would do.
Great.
Yeah, we definitely would. My bad, Lewis.
Good morning, Lewis. How are you, sir?
Morning, Pat. Morning, Bobby.
Do you have anything to weigh in on the Amish controversy that Bobby's talking about?
Why is Raymond allowed to hold a microphone?
I've
Ooh.
often asked that question. Technically, if the microphone is not amplified, there's not electricity running through it. So if it doesn't need external power, the only thing coming out of the speakers, and he's not touching the electricity.
I'm sure that boy can boom his voice. But listen, Raymond's been eating this food his whole fucking life. Not Raymond, Amos. He's been eating this food his whole life. He's fine. His children, his family is fine. He can't pasteurize his milk, but the government can put high fructose corn syrup in mostly everything we do. But he's the bad guy for this.
That's the very solid point. Turns out people do care about this, Pat. People are fired up about the Amish. Thanks, Lewis, for making me look good.
Listen, I'm just happy our guest was listening in the green room while he was sitting there. I appreciate
and
that.
Gave a more concise point than you or me, the guy who brought the story to the table.
And our first comment of the day, Johnny Benson saying, good morning. Johnny Benson's out there delivering ice cream, and he needs milk from Amish people to do that. So there you go. It's a circle around the world.
I'm certain Johnny Benson's on Rumspringa. That man grew up as an Amish man.
There's a lot of things he's done when he was younger, but being Amish was not one of them. But I'll guarantee he knows that Amish wrestler that's from Roadkill that was back in ECW back in the day. He's a big wrestling fan. Bobby and Lewis, have you guys heard about Charlotte the Stingray? Either one of you know about this?
I saw this briefly on TikTok. Pregnant Stingray, right?
Yes.
I saw this briefly. I scrolled past it.
It was the bitch who killed Steve Irwin. Thank God.
It's not the bitch who killed Steve Irwin, but here's the thing. Charlotte the Stingray has been raised in captivity because I guess stingrays are becoming...
I do know about this, yeah.
Yes, and it's been raised in captivity and it's been in North Carolina in a aquarium/shark lab and been raised with basically for the last 8 years only sharks. No other stingray in there. But recently they found that, yes, the stingray is pregnant, and no one knows if it's going to be a Jesus stingray because it's immaculate conception, which they are saying that there are times in animal life, where they have been able to, a woman when it's alone by itself has been able to impregnate itself. It's rare, but it's happened before. Or the other concern is a shark got the stingray pregnant, and we could be waiting on, and it could be something as soon as next week, we could have a shark stingray baby, like a shark ray, or as I like to think of it, a Ray Shark, which to me sounds like a really good lawyer whose name's on a bus. He's like, I'm Ray Shark, attorney at aquarium. And he could be, either way, I want one of those things to happen. But here's the question. Who's the piece of shit in this story? Is it people for taking stingrays out of the ocean and going, we'll make you safer, when they've been in the ocean the whole time? The ocean has been scary the entire freaking time. There's things down there we don't even understand. Monsters, all that kind of stuff. Don't even start me and Bobby on black lagoons. It's the most racist of the lagoons. You don't want to start any of that stuff. The Black Sea, it should just be the regular sea. It's terrible. But is it people for pulling them out of the ocean and doing that? Is it stingrays for like just dying off? And when this one stingray is waiting so much to have sex that they could have kept the population going. This is a horror of a stingray. It's in the water. It somehow got pregnant. It's fucking sharks. It doesn't care who it's had sex with. This stingray alone could have saved everyone. Is it sharks for going interracial, if you will, which I know is good for Pornhub and things like that, but you don't really want to be doing interspecies stuff. It's not going to happen there. Or is it TikTok? Because TikTok has jumped on this so hard. Like you said, Lewis, you've seen it right in your thing, but it's got millions and millions of views. There are people out there, there are women selling their feet that are getting a lot of views, but they're humans. And people are like, nah, I'd rather hear about a stingray getting nutted in. Who's the piece of shit in the story? Bobby, you go first.
It's scientists for me. So now, for years, the debate's been Jesus just couldn't have been born to of the Virgin Mary. But the minute a stingray gets pregnant, now we're willing to admit immaculate conceptions are cool. They've been sitting on that knowledge for 2,000 years, but now we got one pregnant bitch over at the aquarium, and all of a sudden the science backs up Jesus. I'm going with science.
Now, to be fair, I don't think scientists are going with the immaculate conception. I think they're saying there's some way that scientifically this got pregnant. I don't think they think that there's a Joseph stingray that's hanging out too. Like, what the fuck? You telling me you didn't fuck the shark? I don't think that's happening.
I'm just saying, it seems like we're willing to jump pretty fucking quickly into the immaculate conception stingray, but when, my Lord and Savior does it, it's a problem. That would be my first piece of shit. The second piece of shit is scientists again, for putting the stingray in with sharks and potentially creating a shark ray. Okay, when has science gone too far? Did we not learn our lesson with COVID? When you experiment with nature, it comes back and bites you in the ass. Literally in the form of a shark ray this time. Also, shark ray sounds like a podcast Ray DeVito and Chad Zumach would do together.
Just taking shots at random people. Lewis, who's the piece of shit?
It's got to be Charlotte. She got caught up in a lie. She's keeping it going to the point where like now it's on the news. The lady got caught up in a lie. It's okay. Tell your husband that you cheated on him. It's whatever. Also, the second piece of shit. The person. These things are recorded constantly. This is like a scientific lab, right?
Right.
Like so where is the camera on this Stingray tank? And where is the guy that was supposed to be watching it this whole time? He's like, oh shit! I lost track of Charlotte for 3 months, and now she's pregnant, guys.
I can't believe I lost my job guarding Jeffrey Epstein. Thank God I found this job at the aquarium. I'll never screw up again.
Now, listen, I do believe that it would be a boring job, and there's usually not animal-on-animal sex in the water. So if he goes to get a coffee, a shark could throw a quick one in. But I think what they're saying is that Shark Nut was just in the water and kind of got into it. So I don't even think it was the sex. I don't even know how they have sex, but I do know that with stingrays, when you see their belly, and they say it's that cute face, but just a weird thing. I would like to see the O face on a stingray getting banged by a shark. I think that would be adorable and also sexy at the same time.
I like how you think if the shark fucked the stingray, it was consensual and that there was lovemaking going on.
Oh, if you not watched Disney, I believe that this will become a whole new Nemo. Like finding Good Charlotte. I think Good Charlotte's gonna be our new thing, and they'll get the band to play in the thing. And a stingray and a shark. It'll be a whole thing that will teach us about race relations, and they'll be like the sharks and the jets, but the sharks and the stingrays, and they will a whole thing like, no, you can't be with them. It's like she's all alone. I'm here to take care of her. And they fall in love, and then there's another meaner shark that's probably played by let's say Edward James Olmos's voice. They bring that back, and he's like a Simba-like character and being upset. I can see that whole story happening, and you can kill him off because you have to kill him off as a Disney movie.
And if it's Pixar, you can give Charlotte a big ass.
If she doesn't have a big ass, then it doesn't help the racial thing because Charlotte's got to be a big ass white stingray, and the
voiced by
sharks
Aquafina.
are. Oh, without it, yeah, you're right because it's Aqua and it's good. And then I guess to be fair, if we're gonna do it Disney style and make it woke, it's two women. It's a woman shark that somehow, through God's eyes, was able to make the shark pregnant because now we don't need men at all anymore. Not even when we're creating animals underwater, and that'd be great. I still personally want it to be Ray Shark. It's a guy who comes out and he's a lawyer that chases people and only does water crimes, like boat crimes and when you're missing bodies out in sea, international water stuff. I like that one. But the piece of shit in this story is not Charlotte. Charlotte's just living her life. Let her do her. She's been in captivity for 8 years. Sometimes you gotta fuck. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who you are. You ever work at a job for a year or two and everyone there is ugly? About 6 months in, the girl with one eye starts to be the hot girl at the store. You start to fall in love with certain things. It's not sharks. Sharks, they're tired of fucking each other. They're making mean things. They're eating people. So one of the sharks is probably like, I want someone sensitive. A stingray smiles. The smile on a shark is mean. You want someone to look at you and say, oh, I find you pretty for who you are on the inside, not for your fin and your murder. You don't want that. It's not scientists for pulling them into the water. That's not their fault. They're trying to save them. I get it there. It is us. It is social media people watching this going, this is what I want. Once again, we get too distracted. I don't want to get into the whole politics of the world, but God damn it, there's Amish people out there giving out shit milk. That's the issues. We shouldn't be talking about fucking sharks and stingrays having sex. Why aren't we talking about the milk? I mean, we care more about the milky stuff going inside a stingray than we do about Amish guys killing people.
Do you think Amos knows about Charlotte? And there's a
it's on
goddamn
TikTok.
shark ray hybrid. That's okay, but my fucking milk isn't.
Do the Amish even know about the ocean? I don't even know if they know there's an ocean.
They do.
Is there ocean in Pennsylvania?
No, but they ride out to Jersey sometimes.
They go to Jersey Shore?
Mm-hmm.
That's hard. That's
that
a
spin-off.
an ocean.
You know how bad a nightclub smells when you get a bunch of Amish people in there fist bumping? Because they don't like wear the uniform. They wear the uniform the whole time. It's not good.
They do gym, churn butter, laundry. Is that their whole thing? And they just like.
I think they skipped that laundry step.
I want Jebediah in the situation in a movie. I do. I want Snooki and Amos to fall in love. I want that. That's the combination. Fuck Stingray Shark. That's the thing I want.
Ooh, some would call that a stingray shark relationship.
Bobby, you got one?
Sure. Would you prefer to go into sports or pop culture next?
Let's go to sports.
Sports. One of my favorite players is calling out one of my least favorite coaches, former players, and I think it's been very hilarious. The title of this article is J.J. Reddick calls out former coach Doc Rivers. There's never accountability with that guy. If you aren't familiar, J.J. Reddick was a former player. He spent most of his career with the Clippers, was a three-point shooter. Doc Rivers was the coach of the Clippers for a while. He was the coach of the Celtics, and as of now is the coach of the Bucks. The Bucks team is not performing up to standards. They fired their head coach. A lot of people say it's because he kept making fun of Giannis's brother, Giannis, and saying things like Giannis is committing insurance fraud by being here and shit like that. So they fired him. They brought in Doc Rivers, who was supposed to save the day. And since they brought him in, they pretty much have gone 3-7. J.J. Reddick, who used to play for Doc Rivers, was tired of it and kind of went on this rant where he said, I've seen the trend for years. The trend is always making excuses. Doc, we get it. Taking over a team in the middle of the season is hard, just like getting traded in the middle of the season is for a player. We get it, but it's always an excuse. It's always you throwing your team under the bus. We had some guys, that's a rock Doc Rivers quote. Reddick said they lost to Memphis. Oh, it's the players' fault. Memphis was playing G League guys and two-way guys. He ended his rant calling out Rivers' comments after he said the Clippers consulted him before making the blockbuster trade that landed them James Harden from Philadelphia. Then you look at the quotes over this weekend. Now he wants to take credit for the James Harden trade to the Clippers working out. He wants credit for that. There's never any accountability with this guy. Pat, I know you're familiar with this story. Do you have any more context you want to add that I missed?
No, I mean, if you don't know, JJ Redick's big thing now is that with his podcast and being on ESPN, he has a voice and he's out there, and he's also trying to fill the role of going in between when he's talking with Perkins and Steve Smith and with Mad Dog. He's trying to say things to get you to talk too. So I understand that, but he's been somebody who's been going after coaches forever. During the offseason, he was even putting himself out there to be the coach of Toronto. Of course, they weren't going to hire him. He doesn't have any, background that way. Anyway, yes, he went to Duke, so therefore they feel like, oh, he went to Duke, so he must be smart. But a lot of times he likes to call things out. So the main context is Doc Rivers is someone who's easy to shit on because he's got teams to certain points, but never really did it. He's somebody that players kind of get pissed off and they have to deal with. So I can see those two things butting heads.
I see that as well. I think another important factor is that Reddick played for Doc for a while. So there's backstory we don't know between these two. But let me present the pieces. Who is the piece of shit in this story? Is it J.J. Reddick for doing his job? He's attacking Doc Rivers, a former coach. Now, I like to think there'd be some loyalty in the world. You don't attack the people who helped you along the way, but maybe he feels like this guy didn't help him. Is it Doc Rivers for responding to J.J. Reddick? Shut the fuck up and coach. That's how you shut people up, right? If you go on a 10-0 win streak, people are going to be like, damn, Doc turned things around in Milwaukee. You got it under control. Now, you could say going in the news is how you fire your team up. I get that, but I've always been a big fan of locker room material. You just put the thing that the other guy said on the bulletin board, and everybody knows what to do. Is it Pat Beverly, who tried to join the conversation out of the blue and have Doc Rivers back only to get dunked on by J.J. Reddick, who was basically like, shut the fuck up. You're a journeyman and have never done anything in your career. I love you, but don't try to talk to people you don't understand or something along those lines. Or is it the Bucks for continually making a bad decision after bad decision? You had a coach who couldn't control Giannis and Giannis. You get rid of him, and you bring in the guy who's known for never winning the NBA championship, for getting teams just as close, which, oh, by the way, that's what Milwaukee's become known for. Lewis, we kicked it to Pat first last time, so we're going to kick it to you.
I'd say none of the above. My biggest problem with this story is Mrs. Akintumbo naming her sons Giannis and Dionys. That's fucking me up, dude. That's fucking me up right now. I stopped listening after you told me that his brother's name is Dionys. I'm like, what the fuck is this woman doing? That's the asshole in this situation, I gotta say.
Well, also, if you remember, it's Greek culture, so I don't think the women have any say because the father probably named them, and he probably named them after the things he likes, anus, and he couldn't say that, so he had to say honest, and he just tried to do as many versions of. He likes to put his D in the honest, he likes to hit the G in the honest, so that's what he's doing with those names right there.
Golly, Akintumbos, what are you doing?
Yes, didn't he migrate too? Wasn't he a migrant as well? Like I know
you're a little faint on the mic, so I can't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wasn't he a migrant from Nigeria as well?
I don't think I'm allowed to say that as a white man. I can't say any of those words you just said.
That's fair. It would have helped if you'd backed me up, but no. I'm just saying. I feel like the honest.
Yes, Bobby. He's a migrant. Tell us more.
But I just feel like they aren't typically Nigerian names. So we would need to see which member of his family was Greek to know who gave him those names. It might be the dad. It might be the mom.
Well, I would guess it was the dad, but you're right. Because there was a child born, that means it wasn't just anal. So maybe it was the mom.
No.
No, those Greek men have powerful sperm.
Yeah.
The names are not typically Nigerian names. Those are very strong Greek influence names. So I think whichever member of the family contributed the Greek genes to the relationship is the one who got to choose the name. That's all I'm going with.
That's what I'm saying. The father is probably that because the last name being very Greek. It sounds like a diner name. You know what I mean?
I didn't think about last names. Fuck.
Right. That's kind of how that works.
I've been fooled again, Lewis.
It's like-
Fucking last names.
You were George Foremaning the shit out of that story. Like they're all George. I don't know. That must be from Georgetown. But
I just thought Antetokounmpo meant
the
good at
piece of
basketball.
the story is JJ Reddick. And it's because he's doing his job. It's not Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers is brought into an impossible situation. A team that's supposed to win the NBA championship, they were built to that. You brought Lillard in. You've built this team where you've got so many. You got a bench. You should be able to do so much. You have Giannis, who's big and powerful, but he doesn't have to do anything because Lopez can fucking rebound. They're built to win. They're going to be better in the playoffs. They are here. They failed last year. They add a super scorer. They've learned how to play together. And so it should be fine. Yes, the issue, you don't get rid of a coach. Dantley shouldn't be gone. He should be there. But they brought Rivers in. Rivers is somebody who has to get to know a team for a while. He's always been that. He builds cultures and stuff like that. You can't come into another place where a culture is being run by the Greek freak. He's the guy who runs that. We say where LeBron runs LA. He says what's going here and there, whatever. So he's not really the coach. He's really there to be the Joe Torre and stroke egos. And that's not what he does. But it's going to take time. Yes, did they go 3 for 7? Yes, did they get their ass kicked by some teams they shouldn't get beat by? Yeah, but they're still learning how to play together, and that team's still in 40 games learning that anyway. You put them in the playoffs against most of the teams in the East, it's going to be a ridiculous matchup for them. I mean, yeah, I think they're going to come out of the East? Probably not. I just think that because they're from Milwaukee, that's a shit culture with awful people. Fuck Wisconsin. No one's ever going to be behind that anyway. You take black people and you put them in Wisconsin, they're not going to thrive. That's just not what's going to happen. It's just not what they're going to do. A lot of them are lactose intolerant. That Wisconsin is all about cheese. It's really beating them up in a million kinds of ways. But JJ Redick trying to jump on this thing. Oh, you're losing. And he's telling people like Pat Beverly to shut the fuck up. Hey, Pat Beverly's still in the NBA. You're not still in the NBA. You were very good at Duke. You were a journeyman who people hype up a lot now because you're on the air now. But you really, besides a couple with bad Clippers teams, you were all right. But you were never a star or a player or anyone to speak on this. And when you've been asked to be a coach or do things, you pulled away. So if you know so much, why the fuck weren't you involved in this? When they wanted to hire someone to take over this team, why weren't you the guy? Because in reality, you're just a selfish guy who doesn't shut the fuck up. And fuck Duke. I'm a UConn fan. I've always hated Duke. Fuck you.
Okay, I see what you're saying. It feels like that might have some accuracy there. But I will say there is something very entertaining about a guy who's only known for shooting threes in the NBA being this aggressive shit talker and student of the game. It's not, it would be the same as if.
Oh, you mean like Steve Kerr, like Tim Legler, like every white guy who ever leaves the NBA ever? They shoot threes and they sat on the bench and they just read newspapers all day. There's a million of them. Reddick's the only one that just talks shit about other people because he doesn't want to get a real job.
That's what I was about to say. The difference is the other guys went and got real jobs to back up their basketball knowledge, like Kerr and stuff, and they tried to be humorous the whole time. But I don't blame JJ for that. I think it's kind of funny. Yeah, Pat Bev's still in the NBA, but people only care about his podcast, not his play anymore.
The guy can play D still. He still contributes to a team. He's a good guy to have on a team.
Don't get me wrong. I'm on 2K. I play for the Sixers, and I start Pat Beverly with me over Maxey. So I'm a Pat Bev guy. But I do think it's very funny that Reddick's like, shut up. You're a journeyman, too. You don't know what you're talking about either. But for me, that's not the piece of shit. I understand Milwaukee sucks. I don't think when you build your team in Milwaukee, you're going to be geared for success. But I think for me, the piece of shit's different. And it's very simply Coach K. Coach K has fostered, like you just described, Pat, a bunch of white boys who think they're better than they are. For
those who don't know, the legendary Duke head coach.
You've got him. You've got that dude who trips people now, Grayson Allen. Before him, it was light. Like, this is a pattern of behavior of arrogant guys fostered at Duke. And none of them have been that good. So for me, the piece of shit in the story is Coach K. He retired. He sucks. Let's go UNC.
There you go. Yeah, fuck JJ Reddick. It's good to talk about. The podcast is all right at best. Legler's doing a better job on ESPN anyway. I don't care. He just gives knowledge and it's it. That's all. Judd Buechler. It's all people that have done better jobs at that. He just wants attention. He wants a coaching job, but he's gonna fail when he gets a coaching job because he can't go out. The second he becomes a coach, and he will get one because somebody will go for the attention and trying to do that. Maybe Charlotte, something like that. He'll get a coaching job. And then the second the media starts doing to him what he's been doing to those coaches, he's going to fucking learn real quick to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because they're going to question every fucking thing he does.
I just think it's funny he didn't attack Pat as a broadcaster because that's how Pat should have attacked him and been like, dude, I'm better at commentary on this podcast that I do for my living room than you are on ESPN. More people care about what I have to say about picking fights during NBA games than they do you with your analysis. You're sitting between two characters. Just be the Ernie. Sit in the middle and be the stat guy. That's what people want. Be the cool stat guy who doesn't cause drama.
They can both shut the fuck up because Gilbert Arenas is better than both of them. It's the best podcast out there. Gil's Arena, go watch that one. That podcast with McCants and Brandon Jennings. That's just men talking shit for real all day. It's one of the funniest fucking podcasts you can ever watch.
I am dying to see that crossover between Pat Bev and Agent Zero because they're both brilliant and they both don't give a shit.
Well, no, Bev's not on that one, but Bev does come on as a guest. I want to see
that crossover. Yeah. I love those crossovers where because then you got Gilbert Arenas being like, "Yeah, we had guns." So what?
Sound like
Bill
Bill Burr
the
right
same
there.
way. So yeah, it's a great fucking show. Let's stay on sports.
Does Bill Burr?
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Tiger Woods, his son, is now golfing. He's been obviously was raised to golf. Charlie Woods, which by the way, first of all, I'm mad. Because if your stat is Tiger, you need to be Puma. You need to be Wombat. You need to be something. You can't be Charlie. Charlie's not a good name for a 15-year-old boy. Charlie's a good name for an 80-year-old man or a guy with a ticket to a chocolate factory. That's fucking it. But Charlie Woods was trying to qualify this week for a PGA level tour at 15 years old. Now, his father, did he do that? Of course he did. His father had, at 16, won his first of 3 consecutive junior amateurs of the PGA Tour and qualified when he was 16 years old. But this week, Charlie tried to qualify, did not qualify, had a tough round. In the 7th hole, he actually had a 12 on a par 4. It was fucking awful. But came back with 6 pars right after, double bogeyed once, battled, got close, did not make it. There's other people close to his age, a little older, that did qualify, but this became big. It was all over ESPN. They were covering all the times Charlie played because he is Tiger's son. And that could lead to him not making it. It's a lot of pressure on a kid trying to be like his father, who's one of the greatest of all times, the most polarizing of all times of golf. I grew up, I'm older than you guys. Tiger Woods changed how people view golf more than anything else. It would be on. Your dad would watch it on Saturdays and Sundays when baseball wasn't on and there was nothing going on. Now it became appointment television. The same way what Mike Tyson did for boxing in the 80s, Tiger Woods did in the 2000s and 90s because you had to watch it when he was on because it was going to be something crazy. For his son to have to try to come in and be this is insane. Tiger did get the cameras and everything back then, but there was nothing ever like it. Unfortunately for Charlie, there's everything like it and better. It's his fucking dad, and he's getting weird questions like, "Hey, so who do you live with half the time? Do you still live with your mom and then your dad?" It's like things he doesn't need to be asked as a 15-year-old when he's just trying to fucking play golf and go to school and do all these things. But who's the piece of shit in this story? Is it Charlie Wood for following after his father's footsteps, for playing golf, for trying to do all these things when it's going to be impossible? Yes, have fathers in sports who had sons who became better. Yeah, Ken Griffey Jr. to Ken Griffey Sr. Ken Griffey Sr. was a tremendous baseball player, but nothing at the level that way. There's been so many other players we can go on. Barry Bonds, Bobby Bonds. There's all baseball. We can go with many different sports. Is it Charlie Woods for trying to go that, knowing that no matter what, it's going to be a struggle? Even if he does become one of the greatest, it's still going to be you're one of the greatest like your dad, or it's going to start rifts with him. What if he does become great and starts winning a string of wins? Now it becomes a fight with your father who brought you into this thing, and it's like now you're never going to be happy doing all these things when you could have done any other thing and just been like, whoa, Charlie in accounting, do you know Tiger Woods is his dad? That would have been a better thing for him. Is it Tiger for doing to his son what his father did to him by putting him in golf when he was very young, the pressure that's on there is insane. We're not hearing about the daughter playing any fucking golf. I'm sure she might come out at some point, but right now we're not hearing of that. It's just Charlie doing this. Is it ESPN and all media for doing? I get it. It's a story. It's whatever. But we have so many things to watch in sports nowadays that we don't really need the golf focus on Charlie. Yeah, I get it almost more so for like social media, TikTok, and things of that nature. To have a kid playing golf, it's kind of cool. It might get kids who didn't play golf before to go play. It does bring other cultures in and say, oh wow, I could do this. It's not just a white thing. It's a golf thing. You can figure out how to play and do stuff like that. Or is it all the other people that were booing, not loudly, but you could hear people like booing when Charlie was doing well and happy when he wasn't because they have a hatred for him because privilege and things like that in golf? Or is it Fuzzy Zeller, who a long time ago, when Tiger Woods won his first Masters, when he was asked, hey, Tiger Woods is going to have to choose the dinner this year. What do you think we'll have at the Masters dinner? And he said, obviously, fried chicken. You shouldn't bring that up at all in this story, but I need people to know that that was said on ESPN on a regular interview, and everyone's like, back to you, Bob. They didn't even give a fuck. Who's the piece of shit in the story? Lewis, go first.
EA Sports, if they don't drop Charlie Woods PGA Tour 2025 immediately, like I need to see that game. If you're leaving money on the table, EA Sports, like the Pops, they haven't made a Tiger Woods game in, I don't know, it's been 10 years. I think the last golf game they made was Rory McIlroy. Who the fuck is that guy? We need name recognition. Get Charlie Woods PGA Tour up in here. You're the piece of shit, EA Sports, if you don't do this.
Yeah, it could be tough because of the amateur status and if he could do it, but they say when they do like the college football, you can put the name on it. You can't do the likeness. He probably can't be on the front, but you could do like in wrestling video games, things like that. You could do like the career mode and you could start as Charlie Woods or somebody in amateur having to qualify, almost like Happy Gilmore at the Greater Waterbury Open when he had to try to win. And then Shooter McGavin discovered him in that real golf story. And then finally he was able to go battle him for the championship. So they could do it. Would be Charlie Woods they should capitalize. If they're gonna ruin this kid's life, let him make some bank for it. He shouldn't be going to Stanford. He shouldn't be going anywhere else. He should just be right into golf and do this because you can play golf for fucking ever. So as long as he wins a couple, he'll be fine. And you're right. Also, fuck Rory McIlroy. Bobby.
I think it's not Charlie. Your dad's the greatest golfer of all time. Golf surrounds you 24/7. You're going to pick up a club at some point, right? We don't get mad at
John Daly is the greatest golfer of all time.
That's a very good point. John Daly.
That's the stupidest point of all times. Anyway, that's the stupidest point. It's just a white trash fat man who could hit the ball far. He is Happy Gilmore for real. He's not good at golf. He's not good at golf.
He's the man.
His short game sucks
you
balls.
Both are right. You both are right. He's not the accolades-wise the best golfer statistically, but if you think of the man who embraces the spirit of what golf is supposed to be the most, it's John Daly, the guy who gets drunk, smokes cigars, and just rips burners. And you're right, man. His short game sucks. That's the typical golfer. You drive for show.
Listen, all those golfers get drunk and fucking are racist and everything. He's the only one to do it on camera.
He's the best at it. He's the GOAT of getting drunk and being racist and playing golf. That's what.
Plus the
drip. By the way,
he's got.
I hate to go back to an other story, but Greg Norman, the shark, maybe he's the one who got the stingray pregnant. But anyway, go ahead.
Ooh, but so it's not him. I get it. There are going to be golf clubs around your hat. Like we don't get mad at Wolfgang Van Halen for playing the guitar. You know, it's what your dad's good at. You're going to find that interest there. It's not the media. It's Tiger Woods' son. It's the biggest story in golf. It's so big that it's bigger than the fact that Tiger's losing his brand with Nike. Like, people are talking more about it, so I get that. And it's not the people who are booing. They're actually helping Tiger's son, Charlie. If he can make it to 21 and have dealt with this pressure, he's going to always have ice water in his veins. Like, he's never going to be affected by the pressure. Even, like, we just saw Mac McClung win the dunk contest. Right? I've followed Mac McClung since he was in 8th grade because they would put his AAU highlights up of him going against Edelman and all this stuff for years. And it was like, he's been in the spotlight for those years. He knows how to handle a big moment. But the issue is, much like Mac McClung, these guys who are flashes in the pan are never the next big thing. The reason why Tiger was so great is he broke the norm, where we followed this kid from 4 years old, and he did become the best. Typically, it doesn't happen. Like the guys like LeBron, Kobe, Tiger. even to some extent, Bryce Harper in baseball. It's very rare that the guy everybody goes, this is the next thing, becomes the next thing. So if he can break that mold, it'll be great. But I think if not, like you said, he can always coach golf. He could be the pro at whatever country club he wants. His dad was Tiger Woods. So you go, you fuck some moms, teach them golf. For me, the piece of shit in the story is anyone who buys into the hype right now. He's not going to be the next big thing.
Well, you just did a whole thing where you're like, the ice water in the veins going to be a star, and then you're like, nah, he's not going to be any good.
If he can make it,
He's going to be hard, but he's not going to be like his father, is what he's saying.
Yeah, he's going to be a very good golfer, but he's never going to be the GOAT, is my point. Like, he's going to be solid. He's not going to get nervous, but he's not going to ever be.
It's a big shadow over you.
It is, but they just handled it wrong. You could easily do it. And Tiger Woods is the piece of shit in this story because Tiger Woods brought him in at an early age. What happened with Tiger is that in an early age, he peaked in life. He peaked in life in his teens, in his 20s. And now, and then realized that when he got older, injuries, life, divorces, all these things came into play and ruined his golf game. What he should have done is had his son learn golf for a while, but go to school, study other things to back it up in that nature. And then, like Bobby said, probably about 25 years old, start qualifying. He would have easily gotten in. We would have forgotten who he was. Tiger's much older at this point and not looking like Tiger still. He's only playing senior PGAs at this point if he did that. And then he could start playing. I know it's starting later, but he'd be Tiger Woods' fucking son. He'd have the skills. He could still play till he's 60 fucking 5 or 7 years old like all these fucking guys play into the seniors and that nature, and then would have the opportunity to be mature enough to handle all that stuff. Tiger is the greatest in a short period of time. And yes, if you take all his numbers, he's the greatest of all time, but that's that short period of that happened in that main part. That we don't talk about the other shit. We don't talk about all this shit now is like when Jordan's playing for the Wizards. We don't fucking talk about that part. We just go, yeah, he was there, but it wasn't that great, but he's still fucking Jordan. In the backtrack on what you said, Bobby, Wolfgang Van Halen did get to play with Van Halen. And so, therefore, though two of them are playing it a lot together, they're doing like tandem and things like that with Tiger and Charlie. That's a little different. But he did get to learn from all that first. And, yes, there are people who get mad that are white trash that when they see Mammoth, they had to start calling them Mammoth VH. Because when they're saying Mammoth Van Halen, people are like, Van Halen's coming? Because they're retarded and they don't realize it's a different thing. So they had to call him Mammoth VH so you would go, oh, I guess it's Van Halen, but we're not as upset when they show up. He is a tremendous guitarist, but I don't think people in guitar kind of go the same way because golf, there is a lot of argument if Eddie Van Halen is the best guitarist of all times. There's many other people you can say. When you say Tiger Woods, you're saying the great, you know what I mean? You're saying the greatest of all. Almost like in boxing where it's like, it's Muhammad Ali, it's Mike Tyson. There's 3 or 4 people you can say, same thing with Tiger, and even that's not even a real argument. You know what I mean? Phil Mickelson might have been the greatest if Tiger didn't exist. They were there at the same time, but it's also just not even close in that regard. Jack was fantastic, but Jack also played against a bunch of other people who didn't give a fuck about health or care.
Now
it's
kind of like saying the baseball rules.
Now without a doubt,
competition wasn't good.
Is Babe Ruth the best because he played against other white people? You know what I mean? like Daniel Tosh said, let's see if Satchel threw him a curveball, see what would fucking happen. But he never had the battle against that. So the piece of shit in the story is Tiger for bringing in the wrong fucking person. And Scotty Fitzpatrick saying, hello, how are you, sir? Good morning. Way to wake up.
Scott.
Yeah, Scott likes to jump in and ask weird questions. I'd like to know Scott's take on golf.
Yeah, that would be very interesting.
I play mini.
Let me ask you a question, though. What if it was the case with, like, some of these stars kids where the only shot he had to be relevant in golf is to capitalize when he was younger and say he was Tiger's kid? Now, I don't know Charlie's abilities. But, like, there's a lot of argument Bronny James wouldn't be at USC if his dad wasn't LeBron.
Absolutely not. He shouldn't be in the NBA either, but he's got to be.
But the point being, this kid's been on the radar since he was 5 because he was LeBron's kid, and that's probably, like, so if you do the analysis of your kid and go, oof, if you want to have a career, we got to do it now because people are going to realize you're garbage. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not trying to say that's what the case with Charlie, but if you had a kid who was showing great signs of comedy, but you realized the only way you could get him into comedy was he would peak at 21. Would you do that?
No, because I think at that point, it's not becoming that kid's dream. If it does become his dream and he really says, I want to do it, my first thing would be like, hey, explore other things first. Don't just do the thing you've seen me do. And I don't think that ever was given a chance. Charlie was playing since he was 3, same like as Tiger. Like You always saw a picture of the club in his hand. He never really had a chance to see if he could do other things. So we don't know if this is his dream or it's like his dad going, let's try to do this again through another body. You know what I mean? And I know it's their bonding thing. And also, obviously, Tiger did. You could say now it worked out, but it wasn't the greatest childhood when your father is just forcing you to play what could be one of the most boring sports of all time. As a child, there's a reason why there's not a lot of there's not little league golf. Because it's boring for fucking kids. And if you got ADHD, you can't fucking sit there and fucking take a long walk for 3 fucking hours while you sometimes put it in a hole. When his dad's out there putting it in more holes than
That's been the story of my fucking life.
Hey-o.
My dad put it in
He's
holes
giving
and
his
me
son a
trying to
relatively
get
lax life, and he can make a lot of money doing it. Sure, maybe that's not his passion, but like, hey, I'm bringing you into the family business. Nepotism works in that way, I guess.
Although,
but he also didn't need to do that because he could literally just say, you know what, if you want a lax life, you could just live at home, be a playboy. I got money, bro. You know, I mean, we're good. True. Even with the divorce, we don't have to worry about shit.
It's an interesting thought because, like, The Rock, I'm sure you know this better than me, Pat. I don't know how much of a wrestling fan you are, Lewis, but he tells that story where he got cut from Canadian football, and his dad was like, what are you going to do next? And he was like, I'm going to go join the association. His dad beat him up because he didn't want him to become a wrestler. Like, he was like, don't go down this path. It's not fun. You're not going to make money. But it was his dad's point was, like, people are always going to compare you to me. Go make your own path. And I think him taking the time to do football and stuff probably led him back to wrestling and let him have, like you said, Pat, know that it's actually what he wanted to do.
That's kind of the story. He did fail at that in CFL, and then he did call his dad and say, I'm going to go into wrestling. And his dad said, fuck you, don't go into wrestling. Actually said that. He goes, you don't want to do that. I worked too hard because his father knew it as a thing we couldn't make a ton of money. When his father did it, you could live the life and make money, but that was back in the territory days. So it wasn't like it was when the WWF became WWE and started growing where you could make millions and millions of dollars. He was like, do not go down that path. That is dumb. We sent you to school for a reason. I worked hard, so you didn't have to do that. He kind of went to... He asked his dad to train him. His dad at first was like, no, I'm not going to train you. But then did help him out and get him the training once he showed the commitment to get into it in that way. But we can go one more step since you brought him up. The Rock's daughter is now in the WWE, in the NXT, and she is already so bad and whatever. She shouldn't be there at all, that they've already made her at she's like 18 and she's the general manager of NXT on storyline because they know she can't even really wrestle yet. And they're just happy that it's The Rock's daughter. They're not saying The Rock's daughter. There's a lot of nepotism in wrestling. Scott Steiner's nephew, Rick Steiner's son, is one of the biggest stars that's going to be coming to WWE now. He's been growing there. There's always that second, third generation, Randy Orton, that nature, stuff like that. So wrestling, I think it's different because your dad's like a carny and you're learning from a carny lifestyle, you know?
Did you hear the next big story of nepotism that's going on there?
Real quick, yeah, I just said that now, but thank you, Vic Stryker.
Did you see Andy Kaufman's son is going to be the intergeneration?
What's the Rock's daughter's name?
She goes by.
It doesn't matter what her name is.
Nice, yeah.
God,
finally, Lewis has brought a joke to this podcast.
One of us had to.
I'm psyched. Hopefully your dumb AI thing picks that one up, Bobby.
Yeah, it will. It will not. Did you see I started tagging it right at least? I just put a picture.
Yes, but also, yeah, it was random. But I don't know if you saw the one short came up where they took our logo and put it over your face. So it's just me talking, your torso, and then our logo over your head. So AI gets a little fucking wonky. Yeah.
Speaking of AI,
you got something?
At least Doc Rivers never got stepped over by him.
He's a doctor, though, so that's okay.
He could have fixed his own broken ankles there. Yeah. But, all right. Last story I have is pop culture, and it's that they've announced in 2027, not one, not two, not three, but 4 Beatles biopics are coming out, one from each of the individuals' perspective. People seem fired up. They've got the rights to it, like the music and everything. It's the first time that all 4 Beatles have signed off on a biopic to be done and given the rights to their music. But 4
How'd the
movies.
2 dead ones sign?
Say that again?
How'd the 2 dead Beatles sign their rights away?
That's a good point. And their family. Like, I guess Yoko was like, I guess, just don't put the shit where he beats me up in. But it's going to be a lot of Beatles. That I think might be the problem. Like, you've got 4 movies of Beatles all telling kind of the same story. They haven't announced if it's going to be like one movie comes out every 4 months, or if they're all going to come out on the same weekend like they did with the Clue movie. They haven't announced if it's going to be like individual stories or like the same story from different perspectives. There's a lot of speculation going on. This isn't the first time we've seen a Beatle biopic, but either it's usually early life because they were singing mostly covers, or it's unauthorized, or it's that Yesterday movie where an Indian guy wakes up and there's no Beatles, and then he pretends he wrote all the Beatles songs. It's actually a really good movie called Yesterday, if anybody's interested.
It's not a trailer. The
Yeah,
BCU.
I like that.
I like that. I do like the BCU. That's very good.
There is a whole rabbit hole conspiracy, too, about the BCU with Yellow Submarine and Help and all those movies. But my question is this, like, who's the piece of shit in this story? Is it the guy who was like, I'm not going to write just one good biography. Let me write 4 okay and turn it into a gimmick? Is it the Beatles family for finally choosing to sign off on this? Is it the Beatles family for making us wait, 40 years to get the story everybody really wanted to know back in the day? Is it me for being this confused about 4 Beatles movies? Is it the writer's strike, who after the writer's strike and how important we are for No More AI, the best they could pitch is 4 of the exact same movie just from a different perspective? Pat, we'll kick it to you first.
First of all, the piece of shit is the guy who's doing this and not going for the better angle. If we're really going to go canon, let's go the women of the Beatles. I want those perspectives. I want a Yoko thing. I know she's not born, but Yoko knowing that everyone fucking hates her and what she's walking through first person. That'd be a great anxiety-ridden video game where you're walking through knowing everyone knows you're ruining everything. You also get the wife of McCartney, the one that missed the leg. I want to hear a story how a woman with one fucking leg has to have such good pussy that she got Paul fucking McCartney to sleep with her and sign over a bunch of rights. That's wild. He could have any woman in the world with 2 legs. And he's like, nope, I'm going for the TJ Maxx version of a human. I'm going for a discount leg. I'm doing that. You could also have the lady who fucked George Harrison and Eric Clapton back and forth and fucked with both of them. That's a great perspective. And then women who fuck Ringo. Who fucks Ringo? Nobody should fuck Ringo. That's crazy. They would do that. But no, they're not going there. The piece of shit is the person that's going to do the John Lennon one, because they're not going to cover what I need them to cover. In one of the autobiographies, or biographies about John Lennon, but parts of him in there when he died, is a great part about when he was a child. And when he was younger, he had a good friend, and they were like best buddies. And what they would do sometimes after school, they'd go up into his room. This was in the book. And then they would face other sides of the wall. There was 2 beds, but they would masturbate while being in the same room and talk to each other, but not jerk off to each other, and just jerk off while facing the walls. That better be half the fucking thing. I want to just hear how you go from that to Imagine. Imagine all the times you jerked off sitting next to your friend. That's insane. All the songs he wrote while jerking off next to his friend and never making eye contact, because that would be gay.
Are you ready to have your mind blown? Because
Yes.
there is already a documentary about John Lennon's early life with his relationship with that friend in particular. Because a woman drove them apart and eventually made John Lennon become one of the Beatles. That's what broke up their friendship. And Pat, do you know the name of this movie? It is called
Inception?
No, it is called Backbeat.
Yeah.
You're lying.
Yeah, I like it.
Dude.
You
I
lie
swear
like
to
a
fuck-
rug.
No, I swear to God, if you Google Backbeat right now, it is a documentary about John Lennon and this dude's friendship. I swear to fucking Christ. It is the 100% true. And I did not know the story about them beating off back to back, but that's hilarious.
It wasn't back to back, but they were in separate beds. But it was like, you know, when a grandma and a grandpa have 2 beds in the same room, it was like that, but they would face the wall and jerk off like daily after school.
Backbeat,
Allegedly,
the word is
because
on the
John
street
couldn't
that
say
you-
it. The guy said it. So
Good take.
Lewis, who's your piece of shit, buddy?
The Beatles and British people in general, they're faking that goddamn accent. Listen to me. I hate British people. They wake up and they fake their accent every day. You know how I know that they fake their accent? None of the Beatles songs they sound British in. They all sound like they're singing straight American accents in every single one of their songs. You don't hear any British accent. I hate British people and their fake ass accents. They're the pieces of shit in this story. And honestly, the other piece of shit is his director if he doesn't make a goddamn Mark Chapman movie. Like that. This is all I want to know about the dude that killed John Lennon.
I'm going to get him. No, that's
or a Pete
that's
Best
brilliant.
movie.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Pete Best, the Beatles' worst.
Now, you got something with the conspiracy of English people faking it, because not only with the singing, but more importantly, British actors, if you noticed, are great
They're all our
at
fucking
coming
superheroes.
over.
Superman, British.
Yep.
Daredevil, British. Batman, British. It's nuts. It drives me insane.
But when they come over and do those roles, everyone's like, it's amazing because they are incredible at doing a different accent. They can do the American-styled accent. But when American actors try to do British, it sounds fake and phony. Therefore, that makes me feel like that everyone's speaking like us. And I think not only British people, Lewis, but everyone in the world doesn't have an accent.
Yeah.
It's all a setup. It's a way to make people feel like they're better and different. Like people in Boston are always like, let's talk dumb. Let's forget the letter R. That way we'll have charm and people will come have our chowder. They know it's chowder. They don't, because we're right next door. Fucking Connecticut. We're saying chowder. They hear it. We come and buy their shit. They're all landlubbing and fucking deadly as catching. Fuck them. They're over there Mark Wahlberg throwing rocks at black people. They're doing all that kind of shit. They can do it. When Mark Wahlberg said the N-word, there was an R. There was a hard R. He had no problem then. He wasn't saying A at all. They're all faking it.
Accents are a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
Good point. I don't disagree with you, Pat, but I've been to Connecticut, and I could understand wanting to differentiate yourself from anybody in that state. Just being like, I'm not one of those people. I'm not one of the slow ones.
I'm from Western Mass. I don't
Fuck
have
you,
a fucking
Amish
plot.
news. Fuck you, Amish news. Get away from me.
But you guys both have brought up good points, but they've actually studied this in Shakespeare. You know how everybody does the British accent when they read Shakespeare? At the time, they would have spoke like us. The British people developed their accent because all of their kings and queens were inbred. And so they started having a softer, higher spoken voice and weren't able to say certain letters. That's how the English accent developed. We speak like they used to. They developed it over time. They're 100% faking it. And I thought we were going to say the same thing, Lewis, but for me, the piece of shit is Americans. For letting these British idiots become so big. They don't have good songs. Hey Jude's all right. Like, the rest of them...
All right. Now, calm down.
Yeah.
No. Calm down.
You're starting to put me into... I disagree with this. Beatles have good songs.
Yeah.
They just suck.
Okay.
As people.
Give me a good song. Give me a good song.
God damn it.
Yesterday?
Oh, blah, dee, oh, blah, da. That's a good one.
That's not even English.
All
This
of
is gibberish.
McCartney's songs.
This is all
McCartney was the only
gibberish.
good singer in the Beatles. They all...
Let It Be?
I lie. Because I like George Harrison's While My Guitar Gently Weeps. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm just
Rocky
putting it-
Raccoon?
You put on any
You
of those
made that
songs,
one up, Pat.
I'll put on
No, that's a
Baba
real fucking
O'Reilly.
song.
Rocket Raccoon? That's a Guardian of the Galaxy.
Rocky Raccoon.
Okay.
You can look it up. It's on the White Album. They have millions of hits. They've influenced all styles of music. Their writing is incredible. That band was a super group before there was things of super groups put together in that style. You can hate on a lot of things they're doing now. You're a moron. It's like when JJ Reddick, your fucking boy from before, when he said Larry Bird isn't a great 3-point shooter. You can hate on people that are great all you want to try to go against the grain. You can think what you want about those individuals. That band is one of the greatest put together musical bands ever. Now, they're not the greatest rock and roll band. That's the Rolling Stones. They weren't as punk or whatever, but they are as a writing group. And they took singing songwriting to a rock and roll level, and they changed the world. There was a mania for them. There's not a mania for someone who's okay. All of those songs were great. They started with Stop. They started with all these pop things, and then went into. They've done every genre. They've reinvented themselves 100 times. And we're still talking about them making a movie about them
sit
now.
here and suck his
God
dick.
damn it. People are going to be talking like this about One Direction in 50 years. Let's stop talking fucking boy bands.
First of all,
Good-
don't
very
fucking
good
start me
point,
on One
Lewis.
Direction. I fucking love One
Very-
Direction. Harry
very
Styles
good.
is the shit.
They're going to be the Beatles in 50 years.
And
Fuck.
Pat, that's what makes
They
you
aren't,
beautiful.
because they
But
didn't write
great
their own
point,
songs.
Lewis.
So they didn't write their own songs. That's why they're not.
Yeah, damn them for not coming up with brilliance like we all live in a yellow submarine. Yellow submarine. A what? Yellow
So they wrote a
submarine.
soundtrack to a movie, in an animated movie, in a time
That
it was
movie
hard to
sucks, dude.
animate.
I tried watching that movie. That movie stinks. Their animation
Okay.
sucks.
Lou,
I feel like I've
You're
got to be
high,
on
it
shrooms to
sucks.
watch it.
Yes, that was the whole fucking purpose. You were supposed to be
So
on
I gotta
drugs.
I gotta be on drugs to enjoy it. That stinks.
Yeah. Pink Floyd, Beatles, then The Who, Tommy, Aquafina, all that stuff. You're supposed to be on drugs. That was how it was interpreted. They were giving you something to do. The Grateful Dead's whole life is you're on drugs. Listen to the Grateful Dead without drugs. It's the worst.
Yeah, you know, Motley Crue on Coke is a lot better, I gotta say.
Motley Crue on anything is awful. Motley Crue stinks. Vince Neil is a fat, pudgy bitch. Tommy Lee has a big dick, and that's all he's got. That band
You're gonna tell me that you don't speed in your car when you hear "Kickstart My Heart"?
I try to drive my car off a cliff when I hear "Kickstart My Heart." And if I walk into a strip club and they're playing "Girls, Girls, Girls," I know there's chlamydia inside that club.
Yeah, it's a warning sign. They're doing you a benefit.
All Motley Crue is like they wanted to be Pitbull before Pitbull existed. It's the same kind of music, but it's just better for strip clubs and better for dancing. That's all it is.
But you're right. They didn't say anything insightful like, "Will you still love me when I'm 64?"
Are you looking up Beatles songs, Bobby?
No, I only know Sgt. Pepper's. I literally
By the
only
way,
know Sgt. Pepper's.
So that's not insightful to think about life and changing it. Everything they've influenced. We're still making documentaries about them.
That's my point. We fucked up.
No, we didn't
You
fuck
said
up.
the White Album.
They're
You know it's a much
brilliant.
better album? The Black Album. I'd love to see a
And why-
documentary about Jay-Z's
Okay.
life.
Okay, we have seen many. Go on Netflix; they're all over the fucking place. And also, and Mr. Beyonce, Mr. Beyonce's doing just fine. But
The joke.
why was the Black Album called the Black Album? Because the White Album was so
by the Black
fucking
Album, he was
popular.
blacking out. By
No,
the Black
no.
Album, I was blacking out. That's what he says in the lyrics. He said why he
It was
called it that.
so
It had nothing to do with
popular.
the Beatles.
It had everything to do with the Beatles. He went the opposite, not only for the race play on the thing, but also saying if this is the greatest album ever, the White Album, then the Black Album will be the greatest of hip hop. It was literally an homage to it.
I don't know enough to dispute you, other than I don't think the Beatles.
Hippies with British accents drive me nuts. That's my
Yeah.
take on it. You can't be a hippie with a fucking accent. It's
Like, I just think Paul Simon should be heralded as much as the Beatles are. Everything he did was better, like a slightly better version of them. He was a slightly better songwriter.
Not when he went to Africa
slightly
and
better
bought
musician.
all those Africans and brought them back to do all the diamonds in the soul of my shoe shit. That was a little racist and weird. He came back with his own Amistad. Remember when he came on Saturday Night Live? He's like, "Here's all my Africans now," and they do noises in the background. That was fucking weird. You don't drop
opposed to-
Garfunkel and get a group of Africans. Garfunkel is not worth 12
need
black people.
somebody
That's a
with
weird
fro.
math.
I just really need a fro to sing with. What can I do? I lost Garfunkel. Let me go to Africa.
for a second I thought Paul Simon was the guy from Kiss, but that's Paul Stanley. So
That's Paul Stanley. Yeah.
Don't start me on Kiss. Kiss fucking sucks. Kiss is the most overrated goddamn thing. Kiss and
they've
Thin
always
Lizzy
sucked,
fucking
but they're electric to see. It's a good time, I guess. It's not good music, but it's a good time.
I just can't let you have your Armistead point without pointing out that John Lennon was the first dude to get an Asian bride wife. Like, he also
Not ever.
found a woman. No, but like celebrity. The first one to be like, you. And
He
then
could have picked a
John
better
Lennon
looking
did the same thing.
See, Lewis, I think that was the whole purpose. Yes, he could have got a better looking one. But if he was going to be the man of the people and he was going to be Freedom Boy, he had to go, I can love someone even when they're ugly. Like, that's literally what he was saying. My heart is so pure, I can love ugly people. I'm John Lennon. I can fucking... That's what they've always done. That's why Paul McCartney fucked the lady with one leg. That's... Because they're both trying to outdo each other and like, see, I can fuck something gross. I'll checkmate. This one has one leg.
And Mick Jagger one-upped them all by, instead of fucking an old gross lady, becoming an old gross lady.
And
Or fucking
getting
David
gross.
Bowie.
Yeah.
Also a gross old lady.
But by the way, know what the British do really well though? Crime drama. They do so much better with with Luther and what's that other one? That woman, fucking what's her name? Shit, I'm forgetting. But there's like you watch a crime drama. Those police ones, they have 6 episodes. They're each an hour and a half long, and they're the greatest things to watch ever. They're so much better than ours, where you binge watch. Each episode is like at 45 minutes, and there's 415 a season. They do so much better, and everything is great because they always say the word pedo. They don't say pedophile, and pedo's way more
Pedophile.
fun.
That part is better, but the worst part is they don't have guns in England.
Yeah, you can't take British crime seriously. Yeah, it's I got a knife, mate. Like, all right, brother. We got John Wick.
The sticky wicky left me all stabby. It's like, this sounds like children's play.
You want crime drama? Let's go to fucking Colombia. Narcos, baby. That's a crime drama.
Have you guys fallen into cartel TikTok at all yet?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just started getting videos of that. It's crazy. Like, there's this one. I saw one where this guy was just like shaking off the cocoa leaves. I'm like, dude, this is nuts.
Yeah, it's that, or it's just like a speedboat.
Please explain it, because I know nothing of this.
So
it's basically they're doing their operations. You know, they're growing the coke, they're smuggling the shit, but they got somebody with a camera uploading it to TikTok. Like, hey, we're live, we're doing this. It's crazy. By the way, faces are shown and everything. Nobody's blocking anybody. It's crazy.
there's that, and then the other.
I applied.
videos-
I messaged them. I'm like, hey, how do I get into this?
I've got some good skills if you guys need some TikTok.
I'm getting into Massachusetts for you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
want the Massachusetts cartel so bad.
Oh my god, yeah.
My favorite is they have it's speedboats at night where you just see a spotlight and then it like looks back and it's the cops. They turn the lights off and they just disappear. It's the
Yeah,
craziest.
it's nuts.
videos.
It's nuts, yeah.
That's fun. I love the cartel things come back too because the Griselda documentary on Netflix, which by the way, not documentary, but the movie, which was ridiculous because to take one of the hottest women of all times and put her in that role, I know they uglied her up and all, but Sofia Vergara is so beautiful. You can't pay attention. It was good for like 3 episodes and then they jumped the shark with her madness, whatever. But I like when cartel stuff comes back because I'm not a mafia fan. I'm not. Italians are goofy.
They're all
when they're in
snitches.
movies.
They all snitch on each other. That's how I ended it.
But it also feels like that's the nepotism. They just pass that on. Cartels grow from nothing. Usually their father wasn't any good. They have to fucking take over. They go from like simple farmer to like somehow the dictator of a country in like 15 years. It's an amazing ladder climb. And then they just get all the drugs they do. I would much rather watch a cartel movie anytime over any of those mafia movies.
The issue with the cartel is they don't play at all. And I think that's why Sofia Vergara was cast as that woman, because they were like, if we're going to make a documentary about her, we're going to say she's the most beautiful woman in the world. Like, they weren't.
Did you watch it at all?
Nope.
Who was Griselda married to? Like, who was she the wife of when? Or was she just like her?
Yes, she was married to a lower level guy who was working for someone, and they were kind of doing it together, but women weren't allowed to be like the face or the front when they were over there. The father, the brother of her husband was a guy who was in charge of running everything. And at one point, the husband was like, listen, we owe him a lot of money, even though he's my brother. We fucked up on a deal, whatever. So he agreed that if you sleep with him, he'll let it go. And she's like, what the fuck? Seriously? So he sat outside like a cuck. She had to go in there and have sex. And this guy was like an asshole and like rough with her and shit like that. She's like, fuck this. So she fucking took off. She got a gun. She killed the brother when no one knew, got her kids, and then took off to America and then go to stay with somebody that she knew from there. And then came to America to change her life, but right away was like, I only know this cocaine running lifestyle. Was able to get cocaine from people, connections she still had to sneak on over. She started having a bunch of women bring over the drugs and like mules and stuff, saying they were just coming to visit because she used to be a whore in a whorehouse before she got married. So she knew a lot of whores, and they came over and helped her sell it to all the white people. And she started her own empire in America. But because what happened was they found out she was there, so the Colombian people with the brother came over there to fucking stop her. And it becomes a whole thing. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, maybe I'll pop it on. I haven't given it a chance yet.
It was really well done. She's fantastic in it. It's cast perfectly. But, I mean, I know it's based off the real stuff, but they do add some things. But the problem is it really jumps the shark about episode 4 because they go from this wonderful thing where you're building everything I said, and I didn't spoil anything for it, but it's just, then she goes so fucking nuts, which I'm sure she probably did, that Sofia Vergara she's great in the role she plays, but
is there
not
a catalyst
strong
for
enough.
her losing it, or does it just happen?
No, beyond catalyst. Yeah, but like ego power driven, like anything else in any other cartel, it's usually their own ego and their want for more and more and not understanding when to quit. That usually ruins most cartels and things of that nature.
It's tougher to write a downfall in one season. Like Breaking Bad did it well, 5 seasons, Walter going from a fucking generally a good guy to the biggest piece of shit ever. It took a full 5 seasons for them to get there. So 1 season for Griselda, I understand why you think they're jumping the shark.
And some of us stayed Walter White fans the whole time.
If you watch it a second, listen. If you watch it a second time, you won't be.
I know. I was just
you rewatch it, by the time you're in season 3, you're like, God, I fucking hate this guy. Better Call Saul was a better show, by the way.
He does go out well, like at the end. But yeah, no, he becomes a real piece of shit. In addition to cartel TikTok, though, the other one I'm curious if you guys have seen is the sweatshop TikToks.
No, that's escaped me. I mean,
Go ahead, Bobby.
Sure
First of all, before we do this, hi Brian, thank you for watching, buddy. How are you?
Be right.
Now go into this thing where Bobby's gonna
No,
fake
no.
something. There's
I'm not
no
faking
way,
it.
dude.
I promise I'm not faking it.
I believe
don't
it.
think
Sweatshop, TikTok.
So I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's actually run by the sweatshops, but it's videos of the same woman who's a manager at a sweatshop. And it's the commentary like, this worker take off for vacation. Should I punish harder? And then like it'll be like a kid running and it'll be like, the slow one at the factory today. And dude, it is the most. And I don't know if it's actually Asian people just being funny or if it's legitimately a sweatshop people.
That should be a segment on the morning show. Bobby's never honest. It's one story that you just make up, and we see if we can just throw it in.
It's two truths and a lie, but they're all lies.
Yes.
Yeah, I do love that. I actually love that a lot. Just was thinking the word of the day might be irony with that statement, but anyway.
Is that what the sweatshop lady said? She goes, I irony this shirt the whole time. I tried to
Yeah.
give it to it, but the irony board not working.
It's like it's just the same old Asian woman yelling at her workers. It's the funniest stuff, and it's like if this is actually a sweatshop, that's sadistic. But if not, and it's just a guy who looks like me running it, is that going to be a problem when people find out that they've been mocking the sweatshop? Is it bringing attention? Pat, who's the piece of shit in this story? Is it the sweatshop worker for running their own TikTok? Is it the sweatshop worker for existing? Is it the guy who's probably white making fun of sweatshops doing it, or is he raising awareness?
Pat, can I take this one?
We'll go to Louis.
Yes,
first.
please.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Bobby, you are a piece of shit because this is showing up in your algorithm, brother. Like, like, oh, Bobby want to see sweatshop? We show him sweatshop. Brother, I haven't heard of this shit. Pat thinks you're lying, and I haven't heard of it. God damn it! What is? I don't want to.
By the way, Bobby, how at the top on Lewis's thing? How many things are you watching with young kids working? Where your TikTok is like, he'll love this.
I didn't even bring it to there.
Yeah, we're gonna go down a wormhole. We've opened a can of worms here, but I'll.
Is that what you call a kid's ass? A wormhole? Anyway, go ahead.
No. It was there's an account called Hitting a Piece of Metal 17 Times, where a guy, it's a Russian game show, and he hits a piece of metal 17 times, and the guy goes, very good, Michaeli, you hit piece of metal 17 times. You win picture of automobile, but property is theft, so you go to prison. And it was that for 30 days in a row, and then it became, you hit piece of metal 18 times, and then like you realize it became this whole trippy conspiracy thing where it's Satan and he's in hell or something, but it spiraled out of control. At one point, they sing a duet together. It's nuts, but that's why the sweatshop workers came up in my feed, because I was watching an account where literally a guy hit a piece of metal 17 times for 30 days in a row.
Is all of your history just fever dream videos?
Yeah, a lot of it. Pat was describing earlier how like TikTok heard him and was starting to put up. Do you remember that, Pat? Was that you?
I think that might have went around the show, but yeah, but with the Louis C.K. thing, yeah.
With Louis C.K., yeah. So it was him coming up a lot. I have started to try to cater my algorithm, and I've gotten it to a point where I really like it. It's basically just either videos that are fever dreams like that, or it's like weird Bible verses like the rock the builders rejected has become the cornerstone, and then a guy benching 350 and screaming about how he's not on steroids. That's my ideal Instagram. I don't know what you're going for, but
listen, like I get catering your Instagram because like last year I was just getting half naked Pedro Pascal videos. I was here for it, but listen, you gotta cater, you gotta get away from it. But yeah. I just wanted to mention half naked Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, no, and listen, he's fantastic at everything, but I want his shirt on at all times. Yeah, you were right. This sounds like the darkest corner, the corner no one should go to, the corner that people don't even know.
Yellowish hue.
I don't like what you did there. Anyway, it's like,
we all look too white to be saying these things.
Yeah.
Bobby, keep that up. In 4 years, you'll be hosting Saturday Night Live this weekend. Anyway,
I'll be watching.
Ridiculous. Oh, me too. Bobby, the piece of shit in this story is not the sweatshop worker. There'll never be a piece of shit. The sweatshop worker, by actually finding fun in the darkest times of life, the worst life ever, was able to set up a TikTok account, get a phone, pay for an account, do all these things. You know what? Let her have some fucking fun. She is not the piece of shit in this story in any way.
Are you sure? Because the manager calls her a piece of shit pretty much every other post. should I punish this piece of shit? Look at this piece of shit working slow. This piece of shit wants a day off.
I think it's hilarious that
Bobby?
it's the manager doing it and not like a worker trying to get out. Like,
Yeah, no,
help us.
it's literally bullying. Like, oh, he used to work faster. Now he works slow. Should I slap him? Like, it's very aggressive.
By the way, this is the first time that I've realized that sweatshops have middle management. I had no idea there was a guy who's not in the factory, but also doesn't own it, and he's just evil. Because why would you take that job? Like you're not in charge, but you get to be mean to children and shit and women, but you also don't reap the benefits of the money for being mean. You're just making sure they show up to work on time. That's the worst. Middle management sweatshop is the worst job I've ever heard of.
I think you're the only person making money at that job. Those kids aren't making any money. I think you're taking
No, but
all
the
the
owner is. A middle management guy's not getting paid well. He's just the lackey to the owner of the sweatshop.
I think a lot of the sweatshops, the owner is the middle manager as well.
I think it's just the biggest employee in a sweatshop. They make him the leader. Like, hey, you watch everybody else.
Yeah, you get $10 an hour. Everybody else gets 10 cents.
I think that if they're going to go, I think it is the children of sweatshops for not opening up their own TikTok accounts and showing us the real, like, we all like those hacks on YouTube. It's like, did you know that when you order Chinese food that the container can fold into a plate? You're like, whoa, I didn't know you used it as a plate. Like, I would like to know what other things you could use besides leather to make a shoe, because those kids know. They're like, we don't have leather here. Here's what we use to make a shoe. My brother's hide or something like that. The fallen remains of other people. Whatever they're making on those shoes, they do that. It's like, did you know those little tops on the shoelaces, those little plastic things? That's actually my sole. They pulled it out, turned it into plastic, and put it on there. It's fantastic. I would like to learn their fun facts, their hot takes, and stuff like that. And then I think somebody should duet with them too, and have somebody who's just like paralyzed, like the whole way, quadriplegic. And then because they show them working really hard and go, anyone can do this. We're 5 years old, and then they show the guy all crippled, and he's like, he can't do it. So like, see, there is somebody worse than you, crippled sweatshop boy. It's Cripple Man.
Hi,
I do want to see the opening shift of a sweatshop. No, I want to see those TikToks now, because I like you said, the opening shift is probably gathering the dead bodies to make the hide for the shoes.
Yes.
People that died last night, get them up. Let's make some shoes out of them.
Little
Hi,
kids
I'm
with
Val
lunch pails
Schwing.
coming in, walking in line, coming in. Hey, Marge, how are you? Punching in and shit. Yeah, I want that whole thing.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Fal Schwang, and this is one day in the life of a sweatshop worker. Okay, so I get into work around 5 a.m. I go gather the dead bodies. Here's our hack of the day. It's Tim's hand. He got it hacked off, but that's okay. He can still work.
Dude, you run through the whole thing. Here's the day of a sweatshop. Or no, or the new trend now. It's like sweatshop kids always be too late because they don't have cars. Sweatshop kids are always losing their fingers in the machines because they're not have safety hazards. Sweatshop kids never live to 12.
My daily ride to
Sweatshop
work, I
kids.
just walk to the next room because they live in the sweatshop.
They wake up from underneath the machine. Just get up.
Oh, back to work.
I also love the idea of a duet, but instead of duetting with, like you said, the paraplegic, what I think they should do is have the kids watch a video of a guy selling their shoes to, like, you know how they always do the buybacks where they're like, I could give you $700, and just watching the kid's head explode as he realizes they're charging $700 for those shoes now.
Or Shark Tank Japan, where it's just sweatshop kids coming in and pitching it to like the sweatshop owners. It's like, we don't need to hire any other kids. I can do everything.
I'm going to take 100% of your company for $0.
Yes.
I got bad
Your
news.
profit's going to be 100%. Everything's fine. I can't even talk. I had my tongue removed. I have someone else talking for me right now.
Shark Tank trying to already exist. It's what the kids get kicked into if they don't hit quota for the day.
That's who got the Stingray pregnant.
Villains.
Yes, the Stingray got pregnant by a Chinese factory boy. That's what happened.
Call back.
It's what we do here. We try to make sure people go full circle, because if you missed it earlier and you don't get the joke, now you have to watch it when it's on replay later on. See? We're helping everybody out. This has to be a weird morning for a lot. I got one more story if we're good for it. But, Louis, real quick, let people know where they can follow you. Anything you want to plug.
I'm on Instagram, El Santos Drawlery. I got to change that to El Santos Comedy. Drawlery is just another name for comedy, but it's dumb. El Santos Drawlery, Luis Santos, and Facebook, all your social medias. Yeah, real easy to find.
Bobby.
I will be at Shippensburg tonight. I will be at the Eichelberg Theater tomorrow. And I can't say my website on YouTube or we'll get thrown off. But ask me if you really want to know. I'll tell you later. You'll like it.
Wait, no, I want to know now. You can't. What do you mean you can't say it?
If I say what my website address is, we will get kicked off of YouTube.
That's not good marketing, Bobby.
You could spell it out, right?
It has a what's that guy who's a catcher for the Mets?
Gary Carter.
No, they all use it.
Mike Piazza.
Yeah, but not Piazza. So I can't say it on here. I'll tell you later. It's a joke. It's an inside joke, but it's good.
Wait, like at the F?
Yeah, the F.
The F word.
Anyway,
for gay people is your website.
But more important. Well, there's more to it.
That traffic you must get is awesome.
It might be like somebody is a, but anyway, check me out tonight at. Pat just got it. Check me out.
That's
tonight.
your main website.
Yep. Check me out at the Parks Casino, and I will be at the Eichelberger Saturday.
Nice.
Yes, and Bob's Fly Baby. How are you doing, sir? I hope Bob's doing well. Hope the flies are doing well, and I'm happy the babies are thriving. Yeah, the Chinese food thing you should know because you like to eat the Chinese food when it's dying and stuff. So yeah, that if you hold the plate, if you fold it out, it becomes a plate.
I need more elaboration from Bob's Fly Baby. Is the baby fly? Like, is it fresh to death?
It looks like a baby with a bunch of flies on it. That's what I'm looking at here.
Oh no, that's just.
God damn it, Bob.
What if you also put him in like pink polo with some chains and like put cool Jordans on him, but he could still have the flies? Then it could be a double entendre.
Bob's Fly Baby's been around for a while. I've enjoyed him on his comments on Misery Loves Company, on Shuli's network, stuff like that. Bob's Fly Baby is like an OG of this stuff. So it's just some running joke off Bob Levy from a long time ago.
I like it. It's just an interesting name.
It is, and he's an interesting fellow right there. But our final story, I don't know if you guys have been following any court cases at all in any way. I've been watching with my girlfriend a bunch of court TV. She watches that, and I've gotten to a lot of cases. But the one that just started, we all familiar with
judge,
the thing.
Right?
Yes,
Your girlfriend's a judge.
She's a judge. That's why she watches court TV. She wouldn't be a good judge if she's at home watching.
She's studying it. She's like, oh, I need to know how to do this better.
Yeah, she's like Charlie Woods, where she's hoping one day she gets brought up into the amateur ranks and becomes a professional judge. What is Brian saying before we get to this final story? It's the same thing with little ketchup white paper containers. You can spread it open to make a plate. That's a tough fold though. That's like origami style. You're doing that kind of shit.
No, it's the you pull it open and it makes it bigger. It's a fat trick. It's a fat cat trick. I know it. It's just
yeah, but it's not supposed to be that way. It's the same way that if you're like if you get with the old school McDonald's thing when they used to have like the styrofoam, if you lift the thing back, you can pour the fries in the back part and have a whole thing. But the Chinese food paper thing, literally they made it, and there are little directions on the bottom telling you turn it into a plate, and people just weren't doing it.
Yeah, sure.
I can't understand
them
this
trying
Chinese
to tell you what to do.
magic. I don't get this Chinese. Just get out a paper plate. I can't understand this.
Yeah, so Brian gets it. You watch the murder show, but the court is better than the murder shows. The court is great because you're watching it in real time and seeing the things that happen. Now, some of them are very sad. There are a couple cases recently where it's tough to watch because a lot of people aren't nice to their children. I don't know if you know this, but that's kind of we make jokes with the sweatshop stuff, but it's hard for me to watch that kind of shit sometimes. But the case that's coming up right now is based on the thing we've all heard about with the movie Rust with Alec Baldwin that never came out because Alec Baldwin, unfortunately by mistake, had a gun that had a bullet in it and went doing fakes and shot someone from the studio. And
it never came out because a bullet did.
Yes, boom. Well, I like to think that this actually didn't happen. The woman's alive, and it's the greatest fucking promotion ever to get you to watch Rust. Yeah, you're just like, this whole case happened. You're like, I gotta see this fucking movie now. Because when they show the clips, it's awful. It's Alec Baldwin with a gray beard, looking like a fatter Kenny Rogers, just going like, they show takes of him like doing it and practicing. He's going. It's like, how many times you got to practice pulling a fucking gun out of your fucking... He's like, sometimes you hold the holster with your hand over there, and you hide it. You pull it up like this.
If I'm the armor in this situation, deflect. None of this was my fault. Alec Baldwin took that gun from my hands and put a bullet in himself. I saw him do it.
Unfortunately, that bullet gets deflected.
And that's the great thing. I'm happy you brought that up. Is this case right now? It's happened. Just started the other day. the opening statements were yesterday, is the armor. It's not Alec Baldwin yet. Alec Baldwin's case will happen in late June because we have to get to the armorer first. So people don't know, it's someone who is hired on set when there are weapons and things of that nature to be in charge of those things, fake or otherwise. But this woman her claim is that she was like only 24 years old. B, had hair colors, like 85 different colors, like she was Antifa Portland type deal looking.
This was their armor?
Not looking like. This is the armor, yes, the person on the set. But she was also in charge of all the other props. So it was a small indie budget movie. About most of their money probably went to having Alec Baldwin. It was being filmed in New Mexico in the fucking desert. The camera crew, a couple of days even before this happened, most of them walked off and quit because of working conditions, not getting paychecks, having to drive miles and miles to get to the set of the location, being treated poorly, things not being proper, not having the right equipment. They had all basically quit anyway. So this was already a failing thing as it was. Now, the issue is the armorer is saying that, hey, isn't my fault here. These were other people's fault. I did not know these things. But, man, yesterday in the opening statements were amazing because people were just listing off all this stuff. And what's wonderful is, if you want to go look them up, they start showing where the bullets, the dummies and the blanks, and for some reason, the real live ones. And I was wondering for a while, why would live ones even be
Why
there?
were there live ones? Right.
Live ones were supposed to be allowed on set. This girl's father had the same job as armorer in Hollywood for a long time. She had learned from him and stuff like that. I guess a lot of times to get the people to do it properly and learn how to shoot way off site somewhere else in the area, they will let them shoot a real one so they understand how they're supposed to act. When I guess in method acting type things, sometimes they do have them there. They didn't want that there, but I guess I kind of get it. Like, I don't think you need to do that. I don't think you need to really murder someone to play a murderer in a movie, but there are those kind of people that feel like they need to know the real feel of a gun and a real feel of a bullet coming out, so when they act and fake it, they're doing it. So I guess that was kind of there. But the pictures they have shown, every time she was saying, I didn't know this and that wasn't proper. The way she was keeping all these bullets, and they were showing him, that she had a Mary Kay bag full of bullet boxes, and then all the shells were in the side compartment. Now, I don't know much about shopping or fashion, but I don't think bullets are supposed to be in the Mary Kay bag. They were also in a fanny pack she wore. In a fanny pack with just loose bullets, the dummies mixed in with the live ones, just ready to go. She could pull out like if you needed candy and shit in your pockets. And when they showed the video of the body cam of the detective who showed up on the thing right after when it happened, she's running around crazy. She's crying, freaking out, whatever, like showing emotion. But then when they talked to her and the investigator spoke with her in the video they showed there afterwards, she acted like it was like another day. She's like, whatever, shit happened. And when she showed up to court, no 8-color hair. The hair's brown. The lip ring is out. You can see the little hole still in the top of the lip where the Hitler mustache should be. The little hole there. She's trying to look like a regular person and not okay looking for that. Now, the weirder thing, too, is her counsel has a bald guy who looks like Lex Luthor and a person that looks like if they were transsexual Kim Kardashian, like Kim Kardashian, I guess. I don't know what it was. It's just, she had like a tiara on, big crazy nails. Looking at it, looks like the Legion of Doom is behind her doing this court case. But every time anything is brought up, they're like, who was the person on set, this and that? And they're like, I don't know, the key grip. Who's it? Then every once in a while, they'll just go, Alec Baldwin. Like, every minute, they're just yelling, Alec Baldwin. Now, he's not even there, but he's polarizing. Now, the whole thing about this is to see, should she be charged with manslaughter, even if it's involuntary or whatever, because she was responsible for all these things. Alec Baldwin can shoot off stuff. They can get to that one later. He should also be responsible. But at the end of the day, she was responsible for bullets being in guns. It's very fascinating to watch. The only problem is when you watch court TV, you see the whole thing. All these lawyers are the most boring people in the world. One of the lawyers has a 6 head, not even a 5 head. It's the biggest fucking forehead. You can't not look at that when he's talking. They're all droning on the entire time. So who's the piece of shit in the story? Is it anyone for making a movie called Rust starring Alec Baldwin? That sounds like the dumbest thing ever. I don't want to see Alec Baldwin be a cowboy. I want to see Alec Baldwin telling people coffee's not for closers or hanging out with Tracy Morgan. That's all I want. This sounds like a Stephen Baldwin project, or maybe even a Billy Baldwin project. This should not be an Alec Baldwin project. Is it the camera crew for saying, we can't handle these conditions? You know what you signed up for. You're in a movie called Rust. It's in New Mexico, not even in Hollywood. Alec Baldwin's playing a cowboy. You expect to get paid? Fuck you. Do it for the love of the game. Is it the Hollywood groups that was cutting money so much, they hired a 24-year-old alt-right lesbian fat chick with rainbow hair to be in charge of your bullets. That's one thing I don't think they're known for is having guns. Maybe bad conversations or mean Yelp reviews, but not for handling weapons and armor of that nature. Isn't everyone else on this place that was fine with her? She had a cart like you would push AV stuff in 8th grade. She had a cart with bullets and weapons on it that she'd push on dirt in New Mexico to bring places. Is it them for providing no opportunities there? Or is it Alec Baldwin for taking that fucking role and now making us hear about it? Who gives a fuck about Alec Baldwin? Bobby, go first.
So for me, the piece of shit in the story, there's two. The first one is Alec Baldwin, because you know something hilarious happened with that gun. Like, the death is tragic, but the moments leading right up to it and before you realize she was dead were pretty funny. Like, do you think he did something like, do you think he was doing his Trump impression? Like, I could shoot someone and I'd go up in the polls, pew! And then, oh shit.
We've got bullets, the best live bullets. They're amazing bullets. They're the biggest bullets.
Like, is he doing
we
his
have the
Trump?
biggest armorer. She's the fattest armorer. She's the best armorer.
I also like to think he's never fired a gun in his life, so he's the reason why those bullets were on set, because he kept being like, pew, 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 and they were like, you don't push the gun forward. And, like, he kept making a weird noise or something.
Yeah, you don't say pew. The gun
yeah, he kept, we'll put the effect in, Alec. But there's that option. Do you remember the movie Crow? The Crow?
Yes, a lot of that came up in this too with Brandon Lee. Yes,
but isn't it true they kept the take in where he died?
I mean, they were filming.
So they
no. They took it out of the movie, but it's
okay.
The film exists.
Oh yeah. That's what I thought you meant. It's still there. It's still available to be seen in dark.
No,
places.
but they took it out.
It's not the movie take.
So I remember when it came out, there was an urban legend that they kept the take in the movie, and it was a cursed movie and all that stuff. I like to think they keep the take where Alec Baldwin goes pew and
shoots a grip.
Oh fuck! Oh fuck! Oh fuck! Oh fuck! Oh fuck! In the movie, like it's just one of the scenes, like in a montage of him training. It's just him accidentally shooting somebody. So he's definitely a piece of shit. Like, as much as it's the girl's fault, if you're an actor, it's on you. You're handling a gun. If there's a live round or not, like, the gun safety comes into play. You don't fuck around. That's the first thing you learn about guns. Listen, I support guns. I don't own any, but you learn the rules if you're around guns. That's the first thing. He broke a rule. The second piece of shit is the liberal chick who set him up to die. Like, you got to keep your bullet straight. Okay, you can either have crazy hair and all the tattoos and piercings, or you can actually be crazy and have, is it a live round or is it a blank? Let's play. I call it prop roulette. So those are my two pieces of shit.
Lewis.
First of all, can I just say armor is one of the coolest job names ever.
Yes, ever.
That's fucking awesome. Alec Baldwin, this is not his first time holding a gun. He's been in The Departed. He's been in fucking, I think they give him a gun in Cat in the Hat. They give him, he's had guns in different movies. He knows what's it. I'm a gun owner myself. I know the first thing you do when you get a gun is you fucking check to see if there's anything in the chamber. And you're not aiming at anybody, you're aiming at the ground or somewhere, you know. There's 4 rules of gun safety, and they're all don't aim at people, basically. Also, because there's so many steps before even Baldwin even gets this gun, this has to be some kind of setup. Like that chick that got shot must have been doing some fucked up shit. They had to get rid of her like on the sly, is what I'm thinking. Like this was like some hitman shit, and they're trying to make it seem like it was an accident.
I don't even know if I've explained this part, but the craziest part about this is that they weren't even really filming this for anything. This part here, they were just trying to do like some like edging and to kind of get the idea of the area and stuff like that. That's why everyone was so close, because they were recording. They had the cinematographer, which was her, and like director and stuff, very close to him as he was just working on that so they can get like the framing right for the shot. Not even in the filming. So she was close as they were practicing, and that's why she got hit with the shot she did. She wouldn't have been there. This wasn't even for the recording, like you were saying with the Crow thing. This was literally them just kind of practicing in between.
Another rule: why was his finger on the trigger? Your finger is not supposed to be on the trigger until you're ready to fire that thing. Like guns don't just go off. This isn't like the 20s.
Why did he one time on the phone call his daughter a fat little pig and oink at her? There's a lot of things Alec Baldwin does. You know what I mean? I would, if I was there, if I was in court and Alec Baldwin was there, I'd say, I have one question for you, Alec Baldwin. And he'd go, please tell me. And I'd go, is it Bassinger or Basinger? I've never known how to say her name. How do I pronounce that? And that'd be it. That's all I care about.
Do you think he was singing Tupac? I see no changes. Wake up in the morning, and he has the gun. And I ask myself, is life worth living? Should I blast myself? And then he gets to the part where he pull the trigger. He says the word, and then he shoots him, and he goes, now I'm a hero, right? And they're like, no, you're going to prison.
Yes, I believe that Alec Baldwin, in all his spare time, sings Tupac. I think Dear Mama was before, and then he sang that song after. I believe.
Dear Mama, my daughter's a fat little piggy.
By the way, it's Alex. It shouldn't ever be Alec. Alec is ridiculous.
The pretentious name, yeah.
It's very pretentious, especially when there's Billy and Steven. Why do you get to have a name that's weird and different? And Daniel, right? There's Daniel Baldwin too.
Anybody who questions him, he shoots in the chest.
Yeah, that was the last thing she said. So why is it Alec? And then she got
she got shot in the chest. Not the first time by Alec Baldwin. Hey,
yeah, you're about to see, because X is gonna give it to you. And they shoot her in the chest.
The piece of shit in the story is the girl for changing her look. If you're gonna be a color rainbow hair, bright haircut lady on set, wild, and you look at the videos and stuff, she's got this crazy like goth t-shirt on. She's just in the dirt and doing whatever, pushing her dumb little cart, wearing a fanny pack. And you can't wear a blazer and a nice white shirt and look pretty all of a sudden. I know what you're doing. You're doing it to make sure that we sympathize for you because you're a nice girl. Because you're like, half the country is going to look at this and go, fuck that. That's the thing that complains at restaurants. That's the thing that told me I can't say those fun words I used to say online. They don't want to see that at all. So for her, if you're able to deceive me in court, then I think you're deceiving me with your talk as well. And not that I think, do I believe that it's 100% her fault? No. I do believe she was given a job that she shouldn't have. I think that's a job that should not be given to some girl whose dad did it sometime. An armorer should be somebody who's an off-duty or retired officer, detective, someone who works at like a gun range, who understands weapons and things and can check that stuff. Yes, they were showing the bullets and saying, well, this one had a little gray bottom, and this one has a little blue bottom. You should know the difference. She doesn't always shoots guns. I don't handle guns. Louis, you said you do, but it's not like you would know every bullet, everything. You might pay attention more, but if you're on a set for 12 hours, you're in the fucking desert, your mind's going other places, you're like, what's happening in my life? You need somebody who's trained in that to do. That should be the first hire. Most of your money should go towards, hey, we can kill each other. Let's have someone here who knows how to help.
Yeah, you don't want the Charlie Woods of the armory.
I was going to say, didn't you just say Charlie should be playing golf and it just because his father played golf? Now this chick can't be an armorer because her father was one?
I said he shouldn't. He should wait till he's 21. Dobby said the other way. I said he should wait, and I'm the same way. Yes, nepotism sucks. That's all I'm saying.
One point we really haven't addressed here either is the woman who got shot. Okay, all she had to do was not get hit, and none of this would be a story.
She had one job.
You know what I mean? Like, all she had to do was not die, and it still probably would have been okay. Is she to blame at all? You know? You're in a movie about the Wild West. You got to be ready for the wild to happen.
Has Scott even seen Cat in the Hat?
I think that 30 Rock is better than now Kim Basinger. Prime Kim Basinger, he's right, but 30 Rock is better than now Kim Basinger.
Beetlejuice.
Don't start me on Beetlejuice. I don't even want to go down that road. But I just watched it recently for the first time. Beetlejuice is nothing but a rape documentary. It's the worst. Anyway,
I don't like Tim Burton's a goddamn creep to me. I've never liked his claymation ones, but
I feel like we've moved past the fact that if this woman had just matrixed right now, Alec Baldwin would be telling the story on late night, and everybody'd be laughing and having a good time.
I don't think she has ability. If she has ability to matrix, she wouldn't be the cinematographer. She'd be an actress.
The cinematographer, you know the shot, you know your angles. You should be like, I'm in his lines.
Yeah, but I don't think she thought that she was going to get sprayed in the face. Not for the first time. Hey-o. Louis, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
This was awesome, guys. Thank you guys so much for having me. Like this,
you were a lot of fun.
I appreciate it. Oh yeah.
We'll definitely bother you in the morning again sometime soon.
Please.
Please do.
I
yeah.
will be next Friday. I will be at Twisted Vine in Derby, Connecticut. Got some tickets left available. I'll put links on my social media. You can check that out there. Please subscribe to the channel. We're doing these morning shows Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 8 a.m. On Monday morning, we'll have comedian B. Lee with us, joining us as well. We'll give you an update. I will make sure on Charlotte, if she had the baby, is it a freak? Did it live? Whatever happened, we'll give you the
Charlotte
update
watch.
there. You know, make sure you go see Bobby's shows. Go click on his shit there. If anyone's watching and wants to make some clips of the show for us, we appreciate that. Focus send them to us. We always appreciate the stuff in the chat.
Get my good side
Please
if you
share
do
this with other people. Let them know it's a morning thing people can watch and they can all enjoy it. Lewis, thank you so much for joining us. Please go check him out on social media. If you can't spell comedy, just start looking him up. You'll find him. Bobby, thank you as always. Good morning to you, sir. We'll
Good
be
morning.
seeing you again on Monday. And Ben Bobby.
As you know, on the morning show, we didn't explain this last time, but we will while I pull up the quote I wanted to use. We're not. gonna
Bobby will
end
be
with the
leaving us
normal-
with a quote.
Yeah, like a fun, inspirational thing to get into your day with. And this one comes from Kobe Bryant. If everyone is against me, everyone will lose.
Except for the helicopter driver. He will,
I knew it. I knew somebody was going to say it. God damn it.